What's going on, fam? This is Jay Cameron inviting you to join us in Ethiopia next March 2025. And this is going to be an iconic trip that you don't want to miss, a trip of a lifetime. We're going to be visiting Addis Ababa, Gondor, Lalibela. You'll have a chance to taste the amazing Ethiopian food. You'll also have a chance to visit the Rastafarian community. You'll get the history, you'll get the fashion, you have an opportunity to shop. It's going to be a trip, an experience of a lifetime. So make sure you sign up to join us in Ethiopia, March 2025.
Introducing the African Diaspora News Channel app, your gateway to stories that's overlooked by the corporate mainstream media.
At African Diaspora News Channel, we cover stories that don't receive mainstream attention, and we serve as the voice to the global Black community. We are committed to informing and educating through the power of media, connecting the African diaspora one story at a time.
With our platform, we're helping to end injustice by exposing it.
Join us in standing for excellence in journalism and serving our community. Download the African Diaspora News app.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is Thursday, July 25th. Hope all is well. It's not that long where kids will be going back to school. Just seeing something come across the wire from Vice President Kamala Harris. Says she's not going to be silent about Gaza and everything, but she's silent about Black people in California, where she's originally from. But we get to Vice President Kamala Harris. Now, let me tell you something. Those of you in the chat, I know some shields have showed up in the chat. We're going to do what we do here. We're going to talk about these things because the majority of Black America vote Democrat, and we're going to speak on those issues. If you're looking for an echo chamber of Democrat support, you can go to the Boulay platforms and just have a great time. So if you're coming over here, you know what you're getting, right? All right. So we're going to talk about Mitrice Richardson today and what Vice President Kamala Harris, done with that case while she was Attorney General in California. And, there are still more stories about, moms that were locked up. There are stories about a bunch of Black people locked up for marijuana, and all of her Democrat supporters they're now law and order now. They're saying that that was her job. That's what she had to do. But when the white people lock you up and the white people charge you, you say it's racism. But when she do it to the Black people, now it's all law and order now. Okay, I didn't know y'all switched over to law and order. Interesting. But with that being said, let's go ahead on and knock out this. The thing here, and then I want to actually get into something else today. But you know what? Since we talking about Kamala today, this is a short one, right? Let's go ahead on and get back to it.
Now, Senator Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record. There are too many examples to cite, but she put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana. She blocked evidence. That would have freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so. She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California. And she fought to keep cash bail system in place that impacts poor people in the worst kind of way.
Thank you, Congresswoman.
All right. So, yes, we starting off early with Kamala there, and she can't really debate that because that is her record. Now, she was quiet. I keep saying people don't get this. I think I was talking to some people today about this, about the debate. Whenever that comes up between her and Trump, that's going to be great to see. It really is, because I already know what Trump going to do. I can kind of case him like a book. But Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris, I've seen somebody talk about, it's the same thing. It's kind of like Why is it the Democrat shields do the same thing? You speak about one topic, and instead of addressing that topic and keeping it right there, you deflect. You point to somebody else, right? Who has nothing to do with the topic. You pointing. You don't make yourself look good when you do that, because basically what you're doing when you deflect, you're conceding that what the person's telling you is accurate, because if it wasn't accurate, you could bring something counter to what they're saying and say, no, that's not really the case. This is the case. And then you can actually have a conversation about the topic. But if you take something somebody's saying and say, well, what about him? What about her? And that means that the person is right. You have nothing to say. You don't have no kind of argument. You have nothing. So hopefully that person will take the bait of you pointing at somebody else and pointing here and pointing there. And then hopefully it works. It don't work here, because I'm going to tell you something about me. I'm like, when I'm on a particular topic and I'm really on something, I'm going to come every day until I get tired. And I will be very relentless on any topic that I do, and I'm just going to hit it home every single time. And I don't have to lie on nobody to do what I do. I don't have to lie. I don't have to twist nobody's words. I don't have to do anything. Right? I don't have to do that. I'm not going to do that. Not at all. Just like when I played the video last night. I thought I put it in here. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't, ladies and gentlemen. Hold on. So I made sure to clip that one. I told you I was going to clip it last night. Where is it at? Okay. Yeah.
Tim Scott said last night that America is not a racist country. Do you agree with that? And what do you make of his warning against fighting discrimination with more discrimination?
Now, look, I told you I was going to clip this last night. I told y'all that. Let me go ahead and fix it the right way. I just had this prepared. But this is what we play. We don't lie here. We don't mix people's words here. We just go it on and play.
Tim Scott said last night that America is not a racist country. Do you agree with that? And what do you make of his warning against fighting discrimination with more discrimination?
I believe that we need to address, well, first of all, no, I don't think America is a racist country, but we also do have to speak truth about the history of racism in our country and its existence today.
Okay. All right. So when people say that she said America is not a racist country, just make sure that it's just not Tim Scott, and don't let the Democrat shields try to twist that. That's what she said on ABC. Like I said, we don't have to lie here about anything. So let me get to the story of Mitrice Richardson, a case that was never solved in California. Mitrice Richardson was a young lady. She had some mental health issues, which people do have that, right? And I want you to hear exactly what happened to Mitrice Richardson in that time period, even though all these years later, they're still talking about it. And then we'll get to an article from the LA Times and we're going to go through that article, the LA Times, to talk about how Vice President Kamala Harris, or the Attorney General Kamala Harris at the time, handled that. So let's go ahead and cue this clip up real quick and let's get into it.
A prayer circle to honor the memory of Mitrice Richardson and to remind people that after all this time, the 24-year-old's death is still unexplained.
It's been 10 years and we still have no answers as to what happened to Mitrice Richardson.
Family and friends say the young woman, a Cal State Fullerton grad, had mental health issues ignored by the sheriff's department after an arrest in Malibu for not paying a restaurant bill. She was simply released from the Lost Hills station at 12:30 in the morning. No money, phone, or car. Almost a year later, her remains were discovered in a remote Malibu canyon and airlifted out. Cause of death officially undetermined.
At the jail, when they were booking Mitrice into the system, she did not display or act in any way irrational that the jailers were then concerned about it, because that might have altered the course.
Clearly in this case, we have yet to uncover any new information in the past several years. It's my understanding that the reward that was offered shortly after Mitrice's disappearance is still in effect.
Multiple investigations cleared the sheriffs of any wrongdoing. Richardson's friends don't buy it, saying she was never evaluated for mental illness. She was released alone without phone or money. The sheriff suppressed video of her behavior in her jail cell, and they moved her remains before the coroner arrived. A coroner spokesman saying at the time, the sheriff's department moved her remains without our permission. I don't think we'll ever know what happened unless someone comes forward. That's exactly what family and friends hope for now.
What happened to her was wrong, and I don't give a damn about what the DA said, or the Attorney General said, or the Internal Affairs said. I don't care what anybody says, because common sense says you do not release a young woman or anybody in the middle of the night with no means of caring for themselves.
Ironically, in the lobby of the Lost Hill Sheriff Station, a brochure. Need help with mental illness? LASD cares. Mitrice Richardson's parents were each awarded $450,000 in lawsuits against the county. They were not at today's event. Their friends say it was never about the money. It's about making sure that what happened to their daughter never happens to anyone else again.
Going to review from the LA Times that we had up on the screen. And at the time, Kamala Harris, she had an investigation. It said that has failed to uncover evidence that would merit criminal charges against the LA County Sheriff's deputies for their handling of the disappearance and death of Mitrice Richardson, according to an official letter. That's at that time. Now, as you heard in the piece, the 24-year-old woman went missing in 2009 after being released from the sheriff's Malibu Lost Hill station in the middle of the night, even though she was without a phone, wallet, or car. Nearly 1 year later, her decomposed body was found in a Malibu Canyon ravine, several miles from the sheriff's station. So she wasn't too far away. To this day, the cause of Richardson's death remains undetermined, according to the coroner's office. Now, it was undetermined because how could it be? Because the sheriff's office are playing games with Mitrice Richardson's remains. I believe that too, Yum Yum. They killed their sister. How many times have we found straight predators, perverts, and killers of black people on these so-called police departments, sheriff's departments, etc.? Look at what happened to Sonia Massey. That was a cold-blooded homicide, completely. And I say Richard's family insists she was the victim of foul play, and false deputies for their treatment of the young woman. They say deputies had arrested her for failing to pay an $89 tab at Jeffrey's restaurant in Malibu, and then released her at 12:40 a.m. even though she showed signs of a potential mental illness. Her family had also blasted deputies for mishandling her remains. Coroner's officials said deputies moved her body parts without permission, and months later, Richardson's mother was visiting the site and found a finger bone that belonged to her daughter. Now, you know they was doing something sloppy if the mom had to find body parts and they wasn't trying to cover nothing up. They were doing that kind of shoddy investigation. But remember in the news piece, the coroner said that the body parts were removed, so they couldn't even do what they need to do the right way because you're moving evidence, right? Now, the office of your ski-wee sister girl at the time, Attorney General Kamala Harris, balked at reviewing the case in 2015, saying there was no reasonable interference, that deputies broke the law. Okay? But months later, in February 2016, the case appeared to gain new momentum after Harris agreed to review the matter at the request of Richardson's father, Michael Richardson. The year-long inquiry appears to have revealed no evidence of wrongdoing. A December 31 letter from the Attorney General's office to Richardson's father, which was released to the Times, briefly outlines why there is insufficient evidence to support a criminal prosecution for destruction, alteration, or concealment of evidence. But yet, the mother found the finger bone of her daughter, and yet Kamala Harris at the time say they didn't do nothing wrong, ladies and gentlemen. They didn't do nothing wrong. To all the Democrat shields, this is the kind of person that you're supporting, right? that when she had the opportunity to solve a crime against a black woman, I guess we're going to ski weed out of that too? Is that what we're doing? The police did nothing wrong. But remember, these are the same people that's law and order now. So I guess that's okay now. I guess, because they are law and order now, guys and ladies. They say the closer of the investigation was first reported, let me make sure I hit this, by the LA Daily News. And the letter to Richardson's father also noted that the statute of limitations for concealment or tampering of evidence had passed more than 2 years ago. This is what her letter said to the father. Now, he was reached by phone at that time period. Michael Richardson said he was disappointed in the findings of Attorney General Kamala Harris and angered by the knowledge of the statute of limitations, prevented prosecution. He maintains his daughter was unalived and that her killer remains at large. Now, if she did it under murder, there's no statute of limitations for murder. She could have didn't need that. But she did it under tampering with evidence. That's what she did it under. Okay, even though this woman lost her life. Not the woman losing her life, but tampering with evidence. Her father said, I am a great deal upset. He said, we have too many loopholes and too many unanswered questions. Michael Richardson also accused Kamala Harris at the time of taking interest in the case as part of an election year bid for publicity. So Kamala Harris at that time used Mitrice Richardson to get publicity and for politics. She had no intention on solving that crime. She already knew what she wanted to do and how she wanted to do it. She just wanted to get y'all stirred up in California that she was for the people. But she knew what she was doing. She knew what the law was. She knew. She knows there's no statute of limitation on murder. But she also knew a statute of limitation on evidence. She knew that. So she told you that she was going to open the books and do the research into this case. But she did it in a way that in the end, nothing happens to the police. Ski-wee, guys. Now let's continue. Noting that the announcement in February 2016 that she would review the case coincided with her campaign for the U.S. Senate. Now, Harris was elected to the Senate in November. Michael Richardson said, and I quote, Kamala Harris is a phony. He continued to say, we don't need people like that leading us. This is from the father of Mitrice Richardson, Michael Richardson. I'm going to repeat that again. He said Kamala Harris is a phony, and we don't need people like that leading us. That's not my words. That's Michael Richardson's words. And now she wants to lead the country. Now, if she'd have done right by Michael Richardson and the Richardson family, she can get on the campaign trail and say, hey, you know, I looked at the case of Mitrice Richardson. I solved that case. This person went to jail. I'm not going to be having this going on. She could, a lot of things she could have said that have been wins for her to help her. If you go back into her cases, that's what's going to defeat her in an election, really, is her cases, how she got down all these years. So she has a history of using people to boost herself. So now she's using Black Americans to boost herself. Now, when she gets elected in other places, in the past, she says she's an Indian American, which she is an East Indian. She is. I'm not taking that away from her. But that's why I've always said that she's a Black adjacent. She's not Black American from the soil. She's Black adjacent. Now, let's continue. Say a spokesman for Kamala Harris at that time did not immediately respond to a request for comment. It say in its review, the Attorney General's office looked at whether sheriff's officials had withheld video taken of Richardson, it say while she was at the sheriff's station, as well as whether the removal of her remains from the site, it say where they were found before the coroner's office arrived, had violated the law. That say in the letter, Senior Assistant Attorney General Lance Winters acknowledged that Sheriff's Captain Tom Martin, the former station commander, did not immediately hand over videotape of Richardson to her family, but noted that the video was preserved and eventually disclosed. Now, they say LAPD detectives, they say, who were investigating Richardson's disappearance, they say were aware of the tape, so there were no apparent criminal aim to hide the video evidence, Winter said. This is, Kamala Harris's partner at the time. This is what he's saying. He said, we also were unable to find any indication the videotape had been altered or tampered with, nor did we find any evidence suggesting officer misconduct on the videotape. Now, I said jail records, it said revealed no clues that evidence was concealed. Winter said that the station phone log did show Richardson made 4 phone calls to our grandmother, but AT&T phone records did not reflect those calls. Okay, so you said she made 4 phone calls, but the phone records didn't reflect those calls? Even if they don't answer it, what? Let's say, although the calls could have been made, he said those calls were either not picked up, they said, or not made at all. But I thought she made 4 phone calls. Which one is it? Which one is it? I'm trying to figure that part out. Now, I say the Attorney General's office did not conclude that the sheriff's deputies removed Richardson's remains before the coroner's office arrived. But it was highly disputed whether the coroner's office gave them permission to remove them. Most coroners don't want you moving evidence like that. I mean, if you just watch even this true crime, they know that. I say that finding contrasts with the coroner's office said in 2010 when Assistant Chief Coroner Ed Winter publicly rebuked deputies for removing her remains without approval. Okay, so why is it that in 2010 the chief coroner publicly rebuked deputies for removing her remains? So which one is it? I mean, usually the coroner is going to freak out about that, of course, because you're messing with, evidence and things like that, right? But yet when Kamala Harris's people get involved and Kamala Harris herself, basically, we just took the word of what they said. I used that young sister to get elected. And we're going to just take what they say, even though we got other. Ski-wee, guys, ski-wee. They said a detective at the time countered the investigators, removed the body because they were concerned about approaching nightfall and the possibility that animals might disturb the remains in the rugged ravine. They said, and I quote, "There's no indication that any part of the discovered remains were destroyed or concealed." Winters wrote in his letter. It said ample photographs were taken of the skeletal remains. It said at the site before and after they were unearthed. So the whole recovery process was well documented. They said Sheriff Jim McDonald said in a statement that he agreed with the findings and noted that the case has been reviewed by the Sheriff's Department as well as the county's Inspector General and the OIR Group is a police oversight consulting firm. We almost done with this. So it said each inquiry has produced the same results. It said there is no evidence of concealment, tampering of evidence, or criminal wrongdoing. I say Richardson's parents, it say each received, as you heard earlier, $450,000 from the county in a legal settlement. Why would you pay them $450,000 if y'all did nothing wrong? Please tell me that. If y'all did nothing wrong, why did you give up that much money, of taxpayer money, to each parent? Does that make sense to y'all? Does that make sense? That you're going to pay them a settlement of $450,000 each, but y'all did nothing wrong? But this is your homegirl, right? Now, Michael Richardson continues to maintain that his daughter was unalived, and in a conversation, It said he asked deputies who may know more about her death to come forward. He said these officers took an oath to protect and defend people. No, they didn't. No, they didn't. No, they didn't. You can look it up. They do not have to stop crime. They don't have to do anything. All that money they give to so-called law enforcement or whatever, when do they actually stop crime? Think about it. When do they stop crime? They don't. He said, and I quote, you didn't take an oath to keep secrets. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. They take oath to keep secrets to maintain racism and white supremacy. You gotta remember, the so-called police was never formed to protect us. It was formed to capture us. The first slave patrol that's the origin of the police. And what are they still doing to this day? Capturing black people. We are not the majority of the population, but how is it that we represent more people incarcerated than any other group? That's done by design. That's not natural. Because naturally, the people with higher populations will be in prison more just due to the population numbers. More people equal more crime. Less people equal less crime. It's the enforcement of what they do in our communities. They don't gonna sit, a bunch of dirty cops in other communities, but they do that right there in ours. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let me see here. Kyle Porter Ranch says black people's original stronghold in this country is Kansas. Say they produce 25% of all of the wheat production, 19% of beef. Kansas runs the entire world food chain. I don't know much about Kansas. That's not my thing. But let me say something. Okay, so if we can't trust her to do what's right by Mitrice Richardson, now let's get to Sonia Massey. Do you really think she's going to do anything? So when you talk about an anti-black hate crime bill, do you really think we can ask her that? You got to understand, she is part of the Biden-Harris administration. She's an extension of Joe Biden. She's an extension of him. She's going to try to remix some things he's doing, but she's an extension of him. What you're dealing with right now in this country, you think if you elect her, the illegal immigration situation is going to stop? Do you really think that? You go ahead on and put her in there. Chicago, get ready. New York, get ready. Because they will be coming more to your city. Let's think about that. She hasn't even put out, and I keep looking for it, and if y'all know of it, you could put the link up, and I'll go look at it in real time. Last time I looked, she only have a website to talk about her policies. And let me tell you what else has been dirty with the Democrat Party. People who are Democrats, who are just hardcore Democrats, you were robbed of picking your nominee. Let me explain to you why. You picked Joe Biden. Okay, fine. That's who you wanted. No problem. But what Kamala Harris decided to do was they got Biden out, changed his campaign to Harris for president so she can get all that money. They used the excitement of y'all just hoping you can get a black adjacent woman to be a president. Some of y'all donating your money. Y'all feel like, oh, y'all didn't want something now. Even though we got the highest gas prices in all the country right now, all over 50 states, even though we have people that's flooding the country every day, even though we got 2 wars that our country is funding, even though, our education is going to crap, even though people like Gavin Newsom that said he want to run for president, do you know he just put out an executive order for all homeless encampments to be gone in the state of California? In the state of California. This is your deal. So you ruin the economy where people can't live in California. You ruin everything where people can't survive. They're on the street, and now you want to get them off the street too. And y'all, let me tell you something else these Democrats want to do. They want to put homeless people in jail. Because, this country still runs on slave labor. You understand? This country that never got rid of slavery. They only remixed slavery. They transferred slavery from private slave owners to the state. So all them homeless people, they gonna move out the way, they're gonna be putting them in jail. What they gonna be doing in jail? Working for all these major corporations. And if they doing it, then they're gonna bring the migrants in, and then they're gonna be working for on the outside. So American citizens gonna be in prison, the migrants gonna be here walking around for free, not making much money, but they live 5-6 families to a house. So yeah, I mean, it could work out good for them, right? That's what's going to end up happening, because you Americans, you cost too much. So we rather take you poor Americans and throw you in jail. And you know, the majority of the homeless population in California is black. The majority of the homeless population in America is black. But that's your Democrats, though. That's supposed to be your friend, black people. That's supposed to be your friend. Remember, the 1994 crime bill, Biden, Bill Clinton and the gang, and the Congressional Black Caucus supported it. That was Democrats. How is it that we are sitting up, y'all arguing with me about the Democrat Party, but every time I look up, some legislation being passed to hurt black people, and it's coming through Democrats? Or a Democrat president. You know, you're talking about how felons can't get certain government assistance? That came through Bill Clinton. All talking about jailing people about child support? That came through Bill Clinton. I remember when all that came in the 90s. I halfway was following politics a little bit. Not much as I do now. Democrats have always done wrong things to black Americans. And I say that because, okay, you say Republicans is our enemy. Okay, go there. Well, why is it that when our so-called friend is in office, they always doing something wrong? Biden gets in office. Boulay Martin and the gang and Van Jones crying about it. And then he gets in the office and he gives the Asian community a hate crime bill. When black Americans, and you did not see the Asian community in long lines like you seen all you black people. Y'all was in lines like we was all going to get some free food stamps during that election in 2020. Y'all were. But we don't supposed to talk about what the Democrats have done to black people. We don't supposed to talk about Kamala Harris and what she's done in her tenure as Attorney General. We don't supposed to talk about that. Once again, what has she promised you or black people? Last time I checked, she said that she wasn't going to do nothing specifically for black people.
So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit black people. No.
And then let me tell you what they say to defend that. Well, she followed that up saying, well, whatever she do for black people gonna benefit everybody else. Liftoff programs don't work for black people. And her and Biden never said they're not gonna sit there and only gonna do something for Asians. No. They never said we're not only gonna sit here and not do nothing for Israel or Ukraine or migrants coming from all over the world. Everybody get priority except black folk. But then let me go back to what I was saying earlier about Kamala Harris. She takes over Joe Biden's money, gets in there. She's calling the delegates, calling them. Calling all the delegates to get them to switch their vote from Joe Biden to her. So the news have come out and said that, all the Democrat delegates have selected Vice President Kamala Harris for the Democrat nomination. The delegates have done it, not the voters. And this is why President Barack Obama was saying we should have an open convention, because there's two reasons they said it why Obama said it. One, he felt that Kamala Harris couldn't beat Donald Trump. Two, an open convention because You don't want people to feel like you're robbing them once again. And then you remember what happened with the DNC. When, with the Bernie Sanders situation, they tried to sue the DNC about that. And they ruled in court that the DNC is a corporation and they can choose their nominee. They don't have to go with the people. So the Democrats do not have to go along with nobody you choose. They can choose whoever they want because they are a private corporation. And that should be totally against the law. It don't matter if you're a corporation. You got to abide by some rules. But see, now more and more people starting to see that once people realize that basically like what Bernie Sanders happened, they rigged it and stole it from Bernie Sanders at that time period. And I said that Bernie Sanders would have beat Trump. He would have did it. I believe he would have. Nobody was even behind Hillary like that. Hillary's name was very bad. And the Democrats did that, and that's how you got Trump the first time. Once again, Kamala's name is bad in the streets. And at least back in the time of 2020, she wasn't attached to this administration. I think had more of a chance back then than she has now. What wins do they have that she can run on? You say Bernie's too boring. I mean, what do you want the man? I'm just talking about in general. What the man's supposed to entertain you? Like what? I didn't think we supposed to be electing people to be entertaining. Hey, you say VP Harris to be worse as Donald Trump. I'm sorry. During Donald Trump, I had money. During Donald Trump, the interest rates were low. More black people I know bought homes. During Donald Trump, black people actually got some access to capital. Black people I talk to that want to vote for Trump, just being real, it's not because they like Republicans like that. No. They like the money they had in their back pocket when Trump was in office. How I feel about her right now, do I want another 4 years of this economy? Hell no. Hell no. No. She's not addressing the economy. You can call Trump whatever name you want. You're not addressing the economy. What you gonna run on, LGBT? I told y'all before, LGBT don't keep the lights on. LGBT won't it's not lowering the prices in the grocery store. What you gonna run on, abortion? Abortion don't solve inflation. The things you're running on, that's not nothing that's gonna affect people like that. Sorry. But they will not touch the economy. They, like Biden or her, won't talk about the economy. They won't talk about the border. And black Americans are more affected than any other group. Hold on, what's that video? Do I have that video here? See, during the time of Biden-Harris, this is the people that they're immigrating in here, right here. And do you want 4 more years of this? Like, especially you in Chicago, remember this?
No more money for you. You work. No more money for you. Bye. Go back across the board. No more money for you. It's lazy. You lazy. No more money for you.
Yeah, do you want more? You vote Kamala in. That's more who coming to Chicago, right there. That gentleman right there. That's who's going to be coming to Chicago. Go ahead and ski wee all you want. You hear? Ski wee all you want. That gentleman right there and people that feel like him getting resources over you. You've been in this country forever. You still talking about resources you need, but go ahead and put it in there. Go ahead. It's your right to. You got voting rights, correct? That's the people that's their policy. You think her policy toward immigration is any different than Biden? You never heard her speak out against all that. And you're right. When I saw that comment, she will not talk about inflation. She will not talk about gas prices. She won't talk about interest rates. She won't talk about those sort of things because they can't. They don't have no solution for it. See, interest, when you have a certain amount of money, none of this bothers you. When you got millions of dollars coming in, you're not worried about the interest rate. You got money. You're not worried about grocery store prices. You got money. You're not worried. You don't care if the gas go up to $20 a gallon. You don't care. You got millions of dollars. What is that to you? That's why people like them don't care about that sort of thing. Let me go ahead on and get this person out of here. Boom, got them out. Okay. So it don't matter if I had moved to Nairobi, Kenya, I could talk about American politics. I'm an American. It don't matter if I had moved to Suriname somewhere, I could talk about American politics. I'm an American. The fact is, it goes back earlier. You know I'm right. You can't argue with it, so you're trying to deflect to something else. See, that's when you know, ladies and gentlemen, you're speaking the truth. When someone deflects to something else, when you're talking about a truth, that's when you know you won. Right then and there. It's nothing else to really say. You won. And yes, we cover all kind of content around the world, and we're going to continue to cover it around the world. I just do a little bit more of the American side, and I let my brothers and sisters who are covering things on the continent cover that because they're actually there. So I can cover something from there, and I have, but they're actually there. So I prefer them to cover things where they actually living there versus me do it. Now, I'm living there. I probably would do a little bit of it, but it wouldn't be much because I would be a foreigner there. I still will cover more things that's here because I know the politics of America. I believe in the old school statement, stay in your place. It works out better for me anyway when you stay in your place. Yeah, you say you can't be rich if you are not member of the world establishment. You can be, well, it depends on what you define as rich. I know here, they did a study here in the Houston area, and they asked different races of people, what do they define as rich? I think Hispanics thought rich people in Houston make $398,000 a year. Whites thought, I think maybe a little over $500,000 a year. Black folks, I remember that number. Black folks in Houston say you're rich if you make $621,000 a year. That's way more than what white folks think. And that sounds about right because black folks like to spend money. So some people think $621,000 a year is rich. Okay. So you don't have to be part of an establishment to make $621,000. Now, if you're mentioning the billionaires and all that, I'll say this much, if you can get rich outside of America, even better. That way you ain't got to go through the crap you got to go through here. And what's that guy name? The nomad capitalist guy? This white guy. And he made his bag. He got tired of paying all that taxes to America. He wasn't even living here. And he gave up his citizenship. But you got to have a certain bag to be willing to give up your citizenship. But I feel that when you get a certain amount of money, you don't want to be paying tax to these people. We are the only country, well, one of the only countries that taxes citizens even though you don't live here no more. So you could say, you know what, I'm gone. I'm going to live wherever. And you could never come back to America. You still got to file your taxes. And you ain't been here in 10 years, 20 years. You ain't been here. You only come visit friends and family. You may come stay, 2 weeks or so, a month, just to staying with friends and family, and you leave out. You in whatever other country the rest of the year because you like it over there, right? You still got to pay taxes. I don't know if y'all knew that. Oh, you say you watch Nomad Capitalist? Yeah, he put out some good information. He really do. Oh, I'm glad you mentioned that. You say, what happened to the woman who made the report about influencers? Is she going to do an interview? She never responded. See, that's what I'm talking about. But when I was doing my little casing and looking, even on her page, guess what she went to do an interview with? Can you take a wild guess who she did an interview with? Who you think she did an interview with? It's not that hard to figure out who she did an interview with. She come into the chat talking, but then I say, well, let's have, but see, this is the thing. The reason why they don't want to talk to me is not that I will be mean. I won't be mean. I'll just ask questions. I'll ask her to, there you go, Boulay Martin. I'll ask her to clarify. See, it won't be an echo chamber. And they don't want to be challenged about black people. They don't want to be challenged. When I kept asking, even when she was there, what is an extremist? Could you explain that? What is misinformation? That way we want to know so we can get educated. What is disinformation about black people? What are they actually saying? What do you mean you need to undermine them using that kind of COINTELPRO language? See, and she didn't want, and then I I still monitor, so she talking about sports. I said, so it's like what people saying at the time. Them folks paid her and her little organization to put that report out. They tried to make it gain some steam, and what ended up happening, the everybody focused on it, smacked it down, and now you don't hear talk about it no more. So don't tell me that on these microphones that we aren't challenging things and moving the needle. You may say it's insignificant. It's not whatever. Y'all just talking online. Well, we're actually rattling the cage because a lot of times we are more dedicated to things than the mainstream media is. The mainstream media has to be pushing several narratives. Sometimes you got to just focus on one topic and just ride home on it. And I told everybody, if I focus in on something for a time, I just give me a good 30 days. The information I could put out in 30 days about anything, it will change minds and change hearts. If I do a longer time than that, I will convince you. Not because I'm trying to, because the information, the truth will convince you, not me. Now, let me ask y'all another question. I got to ask y'all some questions in the chat. So we're trying to get more people to join our app, and I've been thinking about this, and you helped me with this. So I was thinking, because we did this one time before, and it really boosted a lot of our numbers. If we were to do, let's say for a month, offer half price for a year subscription, because year subscription, I think it's like $99 or something like that. So we offered like $50 a year subscription, half off, let's say for a good month. Would you be inclined to join it for a year for $50, take advantage like that, maybe that 1 month, it just be a special, and to get more people on? The reason why we want to do that, because we want to get more people there, because these platforms play a lot of games. If I told y'all, they play with everybody's numbers. I've explained that many, many times before, and it doesn't even make sense but we get it. Now, the numbers eventually may tick up because they mentioned that YouTube's ad revenue, they didn't hit their target number, so hopefully it tick up because, sometimes they be playing games, but it's not about them playing games. It's about, working on this platform and trying to do this as much as possible. It takes funding to do this. We have to pay people. And we're not out here doing GoFundMe's or nothing like that. We just say, hey, join the app, and that alone, helps support the show. And also everything that we're doing is there. We always stream simultaneously on the app also. If we have to take something down, then, it's down. I'm not putting it back up. Whatever the reason why we have to take something down. And so I just want to ask y'all, would that, be good, or maybe something we could offer over there that you say, hey, you offer this over there, it'd be good. Like I said, I'm definitely open to suggestions here, for that, right? Okay, so let me do this. I'm gonna talk to my my IT lady, the sister. She's a sister, and I'm gonna get her to give us a special link to join for like a year for $50. It'd be like half off. I'm gonna work on that, and then when I have it, I'll say, hey, this is it. You could join half off. A year that greatly would support the show. On top of that, we're building up our numbers, and any suggestions y'all have for the app, say, hey man, could you put this on here? Maybe feature this. I'm all ears. There you go. Right. But we're going to just keep rocking and rolling. We know also the situation with Vice President Kamala Harris, that she locked a lot of people up with marijuana, and we need to look into those cases a little more and see kind of some of the lives that have been destroyed. Sister Demetra actually told me that there was a woman that she interviewed. No, it's you say half off of a month. Well, if we do half off, it'll be half off for a year, not a month. There was a woman that got caught up on those cases with Kamala Harris that she interviewed, and she was telling me that it'd be good for me to interview her. So people can also talk, hear from her as well. So when Sister Demetra get back from her vacation, I'll see about doing that, because people need to hear those stories. And if anybody has been caught up on anything of Kamala Harris during the time of her tenure, any of those marijuana cases or whatever, hey, go to our website, africandiasporanews.org/contact, our contact page, let us know, and we'll see about, maybe talking to you. If the father of Mitrice Richardson, Michael Richardson, definitely we'd love to talk to him. You can reach out as well, brother. We'd love to talk to you here. You say filming the Africa trips. Like I said, if you're not subscribed to our Malume's Exodus channel, and also we're still, I got just one more video put up, a couple more videos coming from South Africa, and we also putting them up on the app as well. So everything we put up here, we've also put up there, but not everything's going there. As I said before, on our entertainment channel, we're going to have a Slay Queen series happening. Interesting about the Slay Queens, believe it or not. So if you know about the Slay Queens, I think it's going to be interesting. Different kind of show, not for African Diaspora, no. But for the Phillip Scott show, be different, out of South Africa. So a different aspect on the Slay Queen aspect. So you say you want to avoid TV stations that make fun of black folks? I mean, I like to watch comedy. I mean, I can't do this serious stuff all the time. This serious stuff, it'll drive you insane. I gotta laugh at things sometimes. I don't care about comedy. Comedy is cool. The Bible teaches laughter, it does the heart good like medicine. So no, we need to laugh sometime. Oh yes, Africa's king, the slave queens. Oh yes. We gotta have, but that's on the entertainment side. That's not this important side, So you won't see that sort of thing later when it comes out. You can go over there. It'll probably be on the app. Well, it will be on the app first, before it be available on YouTube. But yeah, that's something you can see. And if it works out, it can probably be even a TV show that can be put on over there. I don't know. So we'll see. Yeah, black people are funny. They funny globally, believe it or not. So yeah. We need to laugh. But and that Sonya Massey video, that kind of stuff, just put you in a bad place. And I remember one point in time I was watching that kind of content constantly. It was literally driving me insane. Literally. It's not good to watch that kind of content constantly either. But thank y'all for watching. We got 10 spots left on the Ethiopia trip. So make sure you get that, AfricanDiasporaNews.org/Ethiopia. We put that up at the end. And we thank y'all for coming here. Be back 7 p.m. Central Standard Time tomorrow, Friday. Tomorrow is Sound Off Friday. Man, it happened so quick. So if you have never called in before, we'd like you to call in. If you called in already, we got to let new people up. I try to go in that order, brother, a lady, brother, lady, whatever, I try to get both sides. So thank y'all for listening. We'll see y'all on the next one. It'll definitely be about Kamala Harris tomorrow. We're going to ask, would you be willing to vote for Vice President